Welcome to Northwest Arkansas Investing Podcast, your go-to source for real estate investing in Northwest Arkansas.
Whether you're a seasoned investor just starting out, we bring you expert insights, market trends, and practical strategies to help you build wealth through real estate.
From buying and selling to property management and long-term investment planning, we cover it all so you can make smart, informed decisions in this fast-growing market. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Northwest Arkansas Investing Podcast. I'm here with Mr. Brian Wagers, and we're getting kicked off now. We've got a couple of good episodes here for you, kind of going through some market updates here in kind of the middle of 2025. We're going to give you a snapshot by county and some of the things that we're seeing just to kind of catch up here mid-year. And then we're going to go into a couple other things over the next few weeks about, some investment strategies that we see that are still working in this market, and then kind of where we continue to see the growth going, infrastructure and expansion that's coming, and which will lead us really nicely into our next podcast here with Mr. Tyler Overstreet. So we're pumped to give you some content here, and just excited to be back in the studio with Brian. So
yeah, a lot of good stuff. I mean, I guess taking a look at January 2025 to we're now shooting this July 23rd, feels like it's flown by. It's crazy. We were just talking right before we got aired that, sometimes it feels like you're working on a lot. You're looking at a lot, and then sometimes it's slow. I mean, I guess that's, in real estate, but NWA specifically, you've got a lot of good stats pulled up on your computer. I know we'll dive into medium home prices, inventory levels, hot zip codes we have here, investor angles. For me personally, I've seen some deals it feels like I've looked at like 10 or 20 deals, and then some weeks it's been only one or two. I feel like it's really hot and heavy. And as far as leasing goes, summer is usually pretty busy. Like spring and summer is like you want to make sure you're all set to capitalize on that on the rental side.
And does it feel like leases have slowed down over this year comparatively to the last few years?
Yeah, I have not seen a slowdown on it, honestly, on my properties right now. I have some in Rogers, Centerton, and Fort Smith. Not currently anything in Springdale, but I think we saw for a little bit that rents were like some of this new development, the rents weren't as high as what people were thinking they were going to get.
Yep.
I think that is starting to not be as soft. I think it definitely softened more end of last year. On that, but it's such ebbs and flows in NWA too. For sure. You might have a bunch of projects being completed, or you might have a bunch of projects not moving anywhere too. So
yep, that makes sense. And I mean, realistically, there's a lot more inventory on the market, rentals, and and just inventory as far as homes for sale and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we continue to have strong numbers as far as folks coming into Northwest Arkansas, which is great. And, we're still in a time macro where it's the most unaffordable time to buy a house ever. And so I think those things kind of continue to, for at least from your perspective, it's going to continue to help in an area where you have, rents that are well priced and in great areas. It's going to be easy to keep those filled, I think, for a while until we see any kind of shake in mortgage rates, any kind of significant shake, I guess. So I think most people would, if you keep up enough, I'll look at the 10-year treasury most days, honestly, and we've been pretty stagnant in mortgage rates, and they've, kind of ebbed and flowed in really small increments, but we haven't seen any big shifts any time in the last, basically 6 months since Trump's been in office. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see what continues there, how everything shakes out with the Fed chair and all that kind of stuff when their time's up in their seat, and how things will change. But it'll be interesting, and I think we're poised to be in a good spot. So, but overall, I think, some things we want to kind of hit on as far as kind of a mid-year update, looking at some of the stats across Northwest Arkansas. Really, this will be kind of Benton and Washington County, and we'll get specific into these. And Brian, I'd love some of your input on, kind of what this feels like to you and things like that. But just to kind of give a market overview, single family homes, median sales price continues to rise. From last year, we're up 3.1% in Benton County. Washington County is a little bit higher than that. And then when you look at, and that median sales price is around 386,000, still pretty well below where the rest of the country's at, which is about 4.25 or something like that, median home price in the United States. So good to be still pretty well under that, but we're obviously continuing to creep up. And then something I think has been really interesting to note too, just in, I think this is where we'll see, like, for investors or for anybody else, the price per square foot, how that's continued to trend up and definitely outpace inflation every year. Benton County has gone up another 7.7% in price per square foot from 24 to 25. So any surprises there on?
No, I think, 3% year over year. I mean, that feels about right, like it feels kind of like to us being invested here feels stagnant, like you said, kind of like same thing as interest rates. It seems like not a lot's, not a lot's trading or not a lot's moving, but that's still 3% growth on prices. And I think, most people when they're investing in real estate, you underwrite for higher than 3% growth, so you're going to have to force appreciation a little bit more here. And people that may have already forced appreciation, it might make more sense to hold on to their assets until interest rates come down. Who knows, I'm no expert in that crystal ball. If it comes down end of the year, next year, and the next year.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you, but I think some people are in those positions, or something else to happen where there's a ton of growth and not much more comes, just the growth outpaces what's built. So,
yep, absolutely. So, and then I think just kind of getting into piggybacking on what you're saying there, Benton County days on market, I'm looking at a chart here for over the past 10 years. We're now back at, where 2018, 2019 levels were, sitting around 70 days on market on average for a home to be sold. And so I think that's super interesting that we're finally back. If you see this chart, in which I'd go, a lot of this data I'm pulling together from a resource locally called NWA Look, so free marketing for them, but great resource to keep up with some of that this residential, more micro data that we use pretty regularly, just talking to investors and letting them know kind of how at least the single family market's going. But you'll really see kind of this V shape where we, really from a 10-year chart, days on market was pretty high, around 90 days. And then obviously as we get into the COVID years, days on market was at their, historic lows. And then now we're kind of continuing to creep back up into what we would call a more balanced market. And so I think just something interesting to keep in mind, and to consider as an investor. And so, but a couple other things, I guess that goes along with that as well as current, and I think is one of the more important metrics to continue to kind of keep eyes on is current inventory levels and kind of where those are at. We've talked in the past what we feel like historically is healthy inventory levels, and that would be anywhere from 12 months of supply to 18 months of supply. And the way they come up with these metrics, if we were to not build another home today, how long until we would run out of the inventory that we have? And typically a 12 to 18 month, inventory level is kind of where it would be as considered as a healthy and balanced market. And we're now up from 4 months of supply to 5 months of supply, 25% increase. It's going up, shifting more towards balance, but obviously we're still, half of where they would really call a balanced market. So any surprises there?
No, I think you hit on a couple of things that we'll actually be talking in the next episode. Episode is investing strategies like days on markets and, the opportunity to build, with this keep, swinging hammers and not being able to keep up with demand, but still having to be cost conscious. If you can make the cost work, then, there is opportunities, and we'll be diving in that one. on the next one. But yeah, I think also, yeah, like to your point, we had opinion of value. It's what's called a broker opinion of value, where a broker, like, you might give a proposal before someone actually says, hey, I need you to list it. Like, I don't need a proposal, let's just get the best price. Some people might, it's more formal and commercial real estate and multifamily to get, take it to a couple brokers and see what their opinion is on taking it out, what they think you could sell it for. And that was on one of the apartments we looked at. We don't in no position need to sell or anything like that. We're not planning to sell it for a couple of years, but you should be getting an opinion, just like you're tracking your net worth. If you're tracking your incomes and expenses, should be tracking your asset value. So, the broker opinion value came back less than it did last year. And it's been humming along. Like, it's been like, occupancy is great, now getting rents up. So they're probably, seeing softening too, where maybe they don't want to over guarantee a price that they can sell for right now.
Sure.
Maybe they oversold on something previously, but
interesting.
I think it is, at least their opinion on where the market is, down from last year. So
absolutely. I think that's wise to, especially if you're already an investor and have that option to be able to shop it around every now and then to kind of see where things are trending and get opinions. Super valuable and kind of can help you, just like this metric where months of supply is, can give you an idea on where things are trending. But
what kind of, when you're looking for market updates, I think that'd be good for the listener. There's a couple different, here, the NWA Investing podcast. I think that, the RBAS Skyline report is always a great one to look back. You can find that online. I think we may have it linked in one of our episodes on NWAinvesting.com. What other resource? You mentioned NWA Look. That's a good resource.
Yeah, NWA Look. I know there's some other resources online that you can kind of keep track of where Northwest Arkansas stands against others. I think there's a resource out there out of St. Louis that I don't know if you've ever seen that before, but they'll keep track of current inventory levels and keep everything really pretty up to date on.
Does Collier and Associates put out stuff? Like, do they send you stuff?
NWA Look is done by someone at Collier and Associates, but Collier specifically does not.
I saw Lindsay puts out a pretty good one too. I don't know if you get that one about like days on market and stuff like that. Axios is a good. I've seen some local stuff. That's more political. Zero Flux is a newsletter. I signed up for some marketing information too. And then NWA Council is a good one. If you go to NWA Council, I don't know if that's .org or .com, but they have good data. It's not as real time as some of this other stuff, but they've got a lot of good data.
Yeah, a lot of good things I think to keep up with. And to me, I think, a metric that I keep the most up to date with is current inventory, because I think supply and demand more than anything is going to continue to tell the story on, how things are going to go as an investor.
Economics 101.
Exactly.
I got my major in economics, minored in psychology.
Yes, sir. I love it. That's good for real estate right there. But I think so. I want to move on to this one, because I think this is an important metric to kind of hit on, and we'll hit on a few metrics before we wrap up here. But what's your guess on this? These are the top 10 towns in Benton County with the number of sales year to date. Who do you think is topping that list right now in Benton County?
Number of sales?
Yeah, number of sales, residential, of course.
Rogers.
Bella Vista.
Bella Vista,
actually. So it goes Bella Vista, Bentonville right behind it, and then Rogers at number 3. So I think the most interesting one on this list, though, that I continue to watch, Centerton has gone down quite a bit. I think Centerton would have been pretty well up there.
Oh, that was going to be my next guess. After, what are they? Top 10?
They're top 6 now.
Top 6.
But I think they would have been. P Ridge has gone ahead of them now. A lot of investors listening to this probably know the issues they're having with wastewater and stuff in Centerton, and how that's really cut down on the inventory levels out there and stuff like that. But I think a surprise one on here is Lowell. So Lowell, I've been talking about it for a long time. I love Lowell personally. I think there's a lot of great opportunities coming. I mean, the reality is there's not a lot of apartments or not a lot of inventory of warehouse or any of the other categories you look at, and so a lot of it's new development just because it's kind of been underdeveloped for so long. But I think this will be a city that will continue to thrive just because it's in the middle of everything in Northwest Arkansas, easy access. It's got a lot of land right now, and so I think there's a lot of opportunity. But they're above Springdale in number of residential sales, and they've got a lot of neighborhoods coming up, a lot more things that they're building out there or around there that I think will continue to benefit. So I think Lowell will be one to watch for sure.
I agree. Shout out JB Hunt.
Shout out JB Hunt big time. So but I want to go real quick before we wrap up and talk through a few of these things in Washington County as well. So similarly, your median sales price has gone up 4.7% to last year, sitting at around $350,000. So pretty significantly less than Benton County, $30,000 less than Benton County on the median sale price. Of course, Springdale, Fayetteville, those are going to be your main two, but there's a lot of other sub-markets in there that are a lot more affordable, that there's a lot of building happening there. And so really that's kind of where you're getting that number. Farmington, West Fork, a lot of others with new neighborhoods popping up, stuff like that. Price per square foot, though, again, this is one that has continued to outpace inflation, not at the rate that Benton County has, but up 4.7% to last year, continuing to be stable appreciation. And then days on market, very similar to Benton County, really right at the same. They're up 14% to last year. Days on market at 70 days. And then again, that current inventory number, they didn't have any increase at all, and they're still pretty well below where they should be compared to what a balanced market would be, sitting at 4 months of supply. So, we've talked about it a lot. Washington County would obviously, most of it be made up by Fayetteville and Springdale. And Fayetteville's kind of been in this housing crisis for a bit. Not a ton of development happening in Fayetteville necessarily, but I think some on the radar, and a lot of people are pushing for that. But again, very much the university continues to grow. There's not enough housing for them or the residents. And so anyway, cool to see kind of where those months of supply are, I think. Any surprises there for you, though, Brian?
No, I think Fayetteville is still growing very fast. And, politics aside, there's incredible opportunity there. I would be interested to track, and maybe next time when we do the mid end of year 2025, to track household income too.
Absolutely,
who's rising the fastest, and I have that somewhere too. But I think that's, as an investor, that's something, a stat we continue to look at too. Make sure. For a builder, make sure they can afford that new home, or make sure they can pay those rents and still have disposable income.
Absolutely. Agreed. So I think overall, we're still in a really good spot as far as the housing market goes. And I think, that's going to continue to help investors. It's going to continue to help home buyers. And then just overall, I think the most interesting, as I look, Northwest Arkansas compared to the rest of the United States. And I think what you'll see in the news is that, there's a housing crash right now, and that there's, prices are dropping 15-20%. And you look at the United States overall is up 30.6% in active listings year over year, while we're at half of that, around 13 to 16%, up listings year over year. So we obviously cannot continue to keep up with the demand right now as the rest of the United States is. And so therefore we're continuing to see stable appreciation, and I think we'll continue for a while. So
another shout out to Fayetteville, Arkansas. I wanted to pull this up before we got up. It was a top U.S. city that is surging in jobs and talent. That's as of 2025. So some of these small businesses are struggling. Fayetteville is bringing in massive jobs and talent. Per capita income of $90,000. So
strong.
Massive corporate investments are transforming local economies like Fayetteville, per the article. So
love it. Well, cool. Well, we wanted to just kind of talk through Washington County and Benton County stats, kind of as we're at the mid-year point here, and as the RVS skyline ends up dropping sometime in the next few months, we'll kind of go back and walk through kind of what that data has to say as well about the first half of 2025 as well. But overall, things continue to trend pretty strong, and a lot of great indicators in our market, and for investors and for home buyers. So thanks again for listening to the podcast, and we'll see you on the next.
see you guys.
See you guys.
Again, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and list some sponsors off here. We're going to start with Whinstone Private Lending. This episode is brought to you by Whinstone Private Lending, one of the top private and hard money lenders now serving Northwest Arkansas. Whether you need short-term capital for a flip, a bridge loan, or creative financing, they've got you covered with very flexible products to fit nearly any deal, including 100% financing. What sets them apart is their deep expertise, fast response times, and ability to think outside of the box to help investors like us close quickly and efficiently. If you're looking for a real lending partner, check out Whinstone Private Lending. Link is in the show notes. So our next sponsorship is 1440 Photography. 1440 Photography is a local company here. I love getting local companies to sponsor this podcast. They're local, they do great service, and personally I can speak that they do a great job on mine and my clients' stuff. If you're an investor or agent in Northwest Arkansas, you need 1440 Real Estate Media in your corner. They're not just photographers, they're real estate market experts, and it's the only thing they do. MLS photos, drone, video, Matterport, whatever your listing needs, they've got it. Everything is a la carte, and it's totally customizable. And here's the best part. Just book online whenever works for you. They confirm and show up ready to go. Fast, easy, done. Where quality meets speed, book now at 1440photography.com. Our next sponsor is Advantage Title and Escrow. They're a local company. They do great work. Specifically, Kayla Phillips. I can speak personally on this sponsor because I use Kayla for all of my transactions. It's been 2, 3, 4 years now, and Kayla and I have done a ton of deals. We probably do between 65 to 80 deals a year together, and they do a great job. The SOPs, so systems and processing that they have over Advantage Title, is just incredible. Clients love it. They do a great job from start to end communicating. When I give a deal to Advantage Title and Escrow, I know that it's going to be taken care of. There's no second guessing. I almost am able to treat them like a second transaction coordinator to my transaction coordinator that I already have. I know that they're going to handle the systems and processes correctly. As an agent, as a homeowner, as a buyer or seller, they do an incredible job of handling a transaction and communicating throughout the process. They do a great job with communication, especially Kayla Phillips over there. I would highly encourage you, if you're looking to close on a home, buy a home, if you're an agent listening, to use Advantage Title and Escrow, specifically Kayla Phillips. So you're going to reach Kayla best at 501-358-1601, or you can email her, Kayla, Cayla, at goadvantagetitle.com. Advantage is ADVANTAGE title.com. Our next sponsor is from Flat Branch Mortgage, specifically Colton Kennedy. Colton and I personally do business together, and he's a wonderful lender here in the Northwest Arkansas corridor. Want to invest in real estate or purchase a home, but feel like you need a secret decoder ring to understand the process? You're not alone. First-time investors, house hackers, and future homeowners, Colton Kennedy has you covered. Colton Kennedy with Flat Branch Home Loans helps people like you break into the real estate market without the guesswork. Think of him as your mortgage strategist, helping you turn "I wish I could" into "I just did." You bring the vision, he'll bring the lending game plan. Let's make your first investment a smart one. Colton Kennedy with Flat Branch Home Loans. Contact him today by calling 417-437-0086 or emailing C as in cat, K as in Kimberly, ENNEDY at Flat Branch Home Loans. That's FBHL.com. That's 417-437-0086, or emailing CKENNEDY at FBHL.com. Thank you so much, Colton.
Special thanks to one of our sponsors who I've worked with personally on multifamily commercial loans as well as business acquisitions. People's Bank works with entrepreneurs, investors, deal makers, and risk takers. They're the ones who see opportunities where others see obstacles. Whether it's a vacant lot with a plan for a thriving business or making an old space new, they work with creators who think big and are not satisfied with the status quo. People's Bank helps you build Arkansas deal by deal and brick by brick. They don't just see numbers on a spreadsheet. They see your passion and vision. People's Bank. It's where people come first. Member FDIC. If you're needing loan assistance, reach out to Dakota at 870-883-1706 or DHEDDEN at peoplesbankar.com.
If you enjoyed the show, make sure to give us a follow on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an update.
Don't forget to connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn for more real estate insights and behind-the-scenes content.
Have a question you want us to cover? Send it our way. And if you're interested in sponsoring the show, visit nwainvesting.com to get in touch. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.